My name is LoriAnn McLeod, and I am the Senior Educational Administrator for Windsong College of Healing Arts. We are located in Port Alberni in Surrey, and now we also have a campus in New Brunswick. And our main focus at this point is adding holistic to everything. So primarily teaching holistic therapies, oriental bodywork, shiatsu, very much massage type, energy medicine, iridology, nutrition, anything holistic that you could use for well-being. Holistic is a viewpoint of using natural elements around us, being part of the earth, and creating a body, mind, spirit approach. So rather than just looking at one specific avenue of something, we look at the whole picture. And with the whole picture, we put everything together in a way that kind of hits those three levels so that they balance out. I've been teaching this now for about 24 years, and more specifically with Windsong for about 15 years. And I've been working in holistic specifically for about 30 years. So it's been a lifelong journey. You kind of grow into it from childhood, you know, you're a little different, then you get into it, you start working with all of these things you have knowledge of. So it's been a really interesting journey.
Liza Potvin, and my business is called Serenity Shiatsu. I do shiatsu treatments. I also supplement them with reflexology, aromatherapy, iridology, auricular therapy, Bach floral remedies, whatever I think is going to help a client get better. I went to Windsong College in Port Alberni, and that was I think about a year. It was about a year and a half by the time I finished the program. That covered lots of different modalities, but part of the training for that was to certify in shiatsu first. And then when I came to shiatsu, I just really loved it, so I stayed with it ever since.
Shiatsu is a form of Asian bodywork therapy that actually looks a little bit like massage and trigger point put together. It was neuromuscular, so originally taken from the body anatomy and placing in some of the old elements of TCM, or the points on the body that sit on meridians, which are lines of energy on the body, that allow us to access, kind of like a computer keyboard, the nervous system, the circulatory system, the lymphatic system, and the endocrine system, so that we can balance out blockages in those systems and help the body to perform better.
Well, shiatsu is Japanese, but it is based on the traditional Chinese acupressure points. So although many of the techniques are Japanese, they have their history and their basis in Chinese medicine.
TCM is a traditional Chinese medicine. Going back about 6,000 years, traditional Chinese medicine is an earth body focus approach. So we are part of a macrocosm, and we are a little microcosm that reflects that. So there are elements involved, such as earth element, fire element, water element, metal element, and wood element. And those elements coalesce in cycles where we would go through, just like the seasons, changes in our body or aspects of our body that function. So TCM takes all of that and wraps it up in a very poetic language, but really does work with the anatomy, physiology, and how the energy of our own being is working with that.
Primarily, shiatsu is I would say about 80% acupressure points. It's a very gentle pressure, and the aim is to cover the entire body. Traditional Swedish massage, for example, if you have a sore shoulder, then your therapist might focus primarily on your shoulder and your neck and one particular area. But the aim in shiatsu is to create a flow of energy, of electricity through the entire body. So it works, the acupressure points literally from head to toe. And while you're going along, as I'm going along and working those points, I'm trying to feel for where there's the energy is congested and needs to be kind of worked out. And those areas tend to be very warm, and there's like, you can feel too much energy in them, and so they need to be kind of soothed out. And then other areas that feel cold, where there's absolutely no chi flowing through, or energy, or whatever you want to call it. It's piezoelectricity, I think, is the technical term for it, if you want to put it in Western terms. But But yeah, you're feeling to make sure that there's good circulation of that chi throughout the entire body. And then about the other 20% is mild stretches. And again, that's just to ensure that things are flowing properly and that there is that constant circulation throughout the entire body. Swedish can be, for some people, quite invasive. It's quite deep. So, sometimes you feel quite sore after a massage, and some people think that it's, no pain, no gain. And it's the opposite philosophy in shiatsu. You should not be experiencing pain, but you should feel very relaxed and as if things are just kind of moving better throughout your entire body. I mean, all the studies have shown that it really helps with things like digestion, circulation, it improves your sleep, and just general relaxation, reducing stress throughout the entire body. It's gentler. I think it's gentler than conventional Western massage. Insomnia, a lot of people deal with that. Tension, I think, is the biggest one, right? It's a really, really relaxing massage because you are breathing deeply the whole way through it, and that alone is going to, bring down your blood pressure and make you a little more grounded in your body. But I find, a woman I just worked on yesterday has problems with hot flashes. So I know some of the acupressure points. You can do gallbladder 20 back here, kidney 1 on the foot. There's a couple other kidney points right here. So if someone comes to me and says, this is what I'm experiencing, or this is a particular problem, then I will stress those acupressure points and sometimes return to them a couple of times if I know that's an area that they need some work on. But yeah, all kinds of things, digestive issues, pain, lower back pain, and I think just balancing the body too. So a lot of people have issues around their hips, right? Or we spend a lot of time kind of hunched over our computers and stuff like that, and invariably if there's something going on in your hips, then your shoulders will be out too. So that's again something that I'm kind of looking at when I look at somebody on the bed, is making sure that things are aligned and your posture is correct as well. So there are points all over the human body that are connected in something of a maze or a network, you could think of it. The Chinese call it the meridian system. And they have connections sometimes to organs or sometimes to other parts of the body. And it's actually thousands of years that they've been using that system. And it's the same acupressure points that you would use for acupuncture, for example. And certain of them will focus on different parts of the body and allow it to release tension, or it will encourage the flow of that chi, that electricity, through your body if there isn't anything happening there, if it's a weak point. Yeah, it's quite amazing. If you do reflexology, for example, if you work on a particular part of the foot, you can relieve headaches, you can do all kinds of things in various parts of the body. So we learned in school which are the acupressure points to work for different ailments, and you just focus on those. In addition to doing the whole body, I think that's a really important part, is to pay attention to the entire system. You're not just zeroing in on one particular area, because our bodies are very complex and everything is connected. And you start to realize that when you study meridians or when you just realize how bodies work,
I've always really been more holistic than anything. Nature is just a place I feel really comfortable with. And I got specifically into the TCM and shiatsu through injuries of my own. So I had an injury off a horse. I was able to experience shiatsu. It was an injury that probably would have taken 2 to 3 years to resolve in traditional sort of Western aspects of medicine. And I was back riding in 6 weeks. And I kind of went, there's something here. And I personally have managed a lot of my own health challenges with natural therapies. Still combining both. There is really a place to combine natural therapies or holistic therapies with allopathic therapies, which actually creates an even stronger healing approach. in the allied therapy approach, one of the areas that is really difficult right now for our allopathics is anything chronic. So you have people with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue disorders, etc. Most of those disorders are far greater than just an injury or just having something that needs to be healed, like the flu. So Western allopathic medicine is amazing for emergency medicine. My heavens, if you break something, they can actually put it back together. And it's great for when we have situations that are really life-threatening. But it's not so good in the long-term disorders because it doesn't take into account the whole human being. I think there's so many things that we can surpass. So for example, autoimmune disorders. They are so rampant. We have elementary school children. I think now they have a greater number of anywhere from 8 to 12-year-olds that are suffering arthritis. They're suffering the itis issues, the autoimmune disorders, digestive disorders. And a lot of it has to do with the way that we cohesively work with our own energy. So we all have a chi that we're born with. We all have an inherent genetic makeup and model. But we can enhance that. We can have better eating. We can work with our own body to open channels that might not have been there. My life for myself with my own health challenges that I've gone through, which are passed on generation to generation, has made such a difference in my life. And the medical diagnoses that I had, I've bypassed. And just the brain is an amazing thing. And when we can capture the energy and bring it into balance, there's so much we can do. And there's an approach now that is called psychosociological. That approach actually really translates to body, mind, spirit, which is literal translation from allopathy right into natural medicine. And what they're looking at, and there's a lot of studies out there now that prove that natural medicines are incredibly effective at relieving pain, relieving digestive disorders, and long-term symptoms because they treat more than just the body. So they also treat the nociceptive aspect, which is when something comes to you, there is an aura of what was happening around you when that happens. So if you're in an accident and that accident had emotions attached to it or arguments or different things, those actually teach the brain that that situation will cause even more pain. And so as the brain begins to learn through our emotions and our mental attitudes, it actually applies pain to the body in a greater aspect than it should. And so that's why people will go into the doctor and they'll say, oh my God, the pain in my shoulder, it's unbearable. They'll take an x-ray, they'll do a CAT scan, they'll do an MRI, and they'll say, there's nothing wrong with you, it's all in your head. They're absolutely correct. The brain makes pain. But the brain is neoplastic. The brain can be taught something different. Ergo, shiatsu. So if we go into that shoulder and we begin to work with the inhibitory effect of the brain, saying, oh, this is actually a pleasant situation. This is actually not the pain that I'm actually feeling. We teach the brain that the body is actually healthier. The other thing we can do is if there is a situation there, we can alert the brain to it. So we can go in and we can manipulate the nerves a little more to say to the brain, there's something here you need to fix. So sometimes the brain just shuts it off. You know, it goes through day after day after day of the same thing with a drug that cuts it off from it, tries to start it again, cut off again. So we're using nerve blockers, we're using painkillers, but what they're actually doing is telling the brain, go away. We don't need you here right now. And then the body breaks through and says to the brain, look, there's a lot more pain here, come back. We take more painkillers, we raise the dosage, we end up in a problem with drug use because we are increasing dosage to block the body from getting to the brain. Instead, we can take shiatsu and we can gently nudge the brain to say, here, right here, right here. And then we don't take the drugs and we allow the circulation, we allow the lymphatic release, and we allow the nervous system to heal the body properly. So it's a really cool approach. If you have an accident and you have severe pain, that can cause such destruction to the body that it's not a good idea, especially swelling, things like that. Western medicine, Drugs, great for that. So when you get pharmacotherapy, wonderful for those situations. But if you want to look at situations where you really want the body to heal, you need to bring the brain back and teach it what to do.
I know it's done regularly in Japan and that people benefit from it enormously. I've had one client who comes every 2 weeks for a couple of years, and she's completely cured her insomnia. She had very bad problems with nerves. She was a very nervous kind of person, and it's really brought her nervous system into control. Yeah, so again, just doing the breathing and really taking in, it over a period of time can have really profound results.
Energy is my fun place. Energy medicines are incredibly effective. We are energy. There is, whether you like it or not, there's all the Cartesian evidence. We have a positive and a negative to our blood. We have electricity running through our brain. We are energy. And energy medicine is a wonderful way to tap into where that energy is stuck, where it's overbearing, where it's underworking, where it's not giving its go. And literally what we do with energy medicine is we learn how to do one thing. We make it flow. So with our energy medicine, we remove blockages, we balance out areas, we can clean some stuff up, and we get that energy of the body moving. So the elements of ki or chi, which is life force, which actually is attached to our blood in the cells with the energy that's in the mitochondria of the cells, we can actually help that. We can work with that. So energy medicine uses all the natural elements of our own body and the world around us to cohesively create flow in the body's energies. And it's fairly simple. We all have it in us. So we just need to get back to that knowledge and learn how to breathe and ground and move it through. So one of the things we do in our courses, we teach Reiki. And Reiki is actually approved and recognized in many countries now as a medical aspect. Even now in Canada, our NHPC has gotten Reiki approved by third-party medical providers for people to get treatment. So Reiki is what I can say is that healing touch we're all missing. So we've become incredibly hands-off in our society. And what we all have in us, whether it's a mother to a child or a person comforting somebody, we all have the ability to bring a cohesive comfort to a person. And that literally is energy medicine. It's in a nutshell. It's that cohesive comfort that's directed. And when you think about that, you think about the two systems of the body that work. There is fight or flight, or rest or digest. Sympathetic, parasympathetic. The only place we can actually heal, the only place that our body actually focuses its attention on healing is in the parasympathetic state. Comfort, cohesive warmth, love, touch, they all bring that parasympathesis. I can't say how exciting it is in every one of our clinics to have all of these people snoring deep into a sleep where their bodies are going into a deep state of healing, and all the person is doing is just gently sweeping away, tapping to loosen up some of the blockages, allowing those muscles to relax on their own, allowing the entire system to relax on its own, and then just placing our hands on. And most of our clients will feed back and say, oh my gosh, your hands are so warm. That's Reiki. We all have that warmth. We all have that ability in us to bring that forth to another person. And it's simply comfort.
I was really surprised in massage school, feeling the power go through my body, recognizing how much I could sense and that I could actually heal people. That was miraculous, you know, just holding certain points, and you could actually feel the electricity like running through your body. And it was like, wow, this is real. This is very, very powerful. And that was kind of thrilling to me. How about you become a conduit for the energy that you're passing to other people. Yeah. So again, something I learned in massage school is you can quickly become depleted, and it's very important to ground yourself before each massage. And then I try to do kind of a little ritual when I'm finished with people that I break that pattern and you take back your energy and I'll keep mine, and not to take on what's going in another person. Because when you do go really deeply and feel what that person's feeling, it can be quite overwhelming if you do absorb their energy. It can exhaust you completely. And if you have to do 4 or 5 massages in a day, you can't have that. So it's really important to maintain that boundary.
I think it's really important for people to know that after what we've just gone through in a hands-off, no contact pandemic, that one of the things that people are seeking is touch. And that touch has to come from a really solid foundation and an ethical place. And I think it's really important if people are thinking about getting into the health field or the business field or something else, it's important to start looking at those fields and how we fit into them as a society and as a world, because right now there's a lot of turmoil out there and there is a lot of disconnect, and I think it's important for this type of education to come forth so that we can reconnect even to our own self-awareness. There's a lot that can be developed. The other thing that I think is really important for people to know is you don't have to take these programs to become a practitioner. You don't have to be certified. We audit all of our programs, so you can just come in and learn for yourself. There's so much personal development that comes out of doing this type of work and learning about yourself and learning about how you fit in and working with your own, what I would say, hucha or heavy energy, or the things that you've gone through in your life and need to work with, all come in this course. So it's a really nice way for you to heal as well as learn.
You could find me, just my email address is liza.potvin@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to do it, and I work out of my home. Unfortunately, shiatsu isn't covered by a lot of insurance companies. I think the nurses union is covered for it. So I keep my prices really low. It's like $75 for a massage. I think most massages now are between $125, $150. So I try to encourage people to come as often as they can, and if it's not covered by your insurance, that it should be, I guess, a little lower in price. So yeah, I'd encourage you to come and try one out.
We actually have a clinical aspect to our program so that people will feel comfortable when they leave our program actually being practitioners. We have 3 levels to our program. So there's a theory level that we do online, which makes it a little easier for people who are working full-time or whatever to be able to still come to class. Then we have what's called a practical skills lab. And during those practical skills lab, we teach all of the practice, the ethics, the touch, everything that's needed in those. After that, post to that, we do a student clinic practical. So after your practical skills level, you write your exams, you have a practical exam, you're safe to work on the public, and we invite the public in at a user fee rate just to keep our reception and our lights on, and they receive treatments. So those treatments are given weekly on Thursdays and Fridays, and right now we have some students in that are working in different modalities. So we have 2 students that were working in energy medicine Reiki and 2 currently that are working in shiatsu acupressure. And so people can phone in. You can't always choose your practitioner because we've got to get everybody in with a number of sessions, but you can phone in and get booked into our clinic and come in and just enjoy a wonderful hour away from everything. Website is www.winsongcollege.ca, and that'll take you to a winsongcollege.com, so put in either one of those. Our phone number in Port Alberni is in the office, 250-723-3307, and then on our direct line when we're out of the office, it's 250-206-9463. You can also contact us by email at admissions@winsongcollege.ca.